Nobody could believe what they were seeing. It felt like a cinema experience, like a dream. Everyone's hearts pounded like drums. They stared at what was ahead of them, except a loud scream. No one else made any other sound, or did any other thing for a long while. But what was even happening? What was making them this scared? You, the viewer, stay with me as we go into the real issue. A part of the answer, not all of the answer, could be found in the sea. They say the river was here before the land learned its name. Long before fences, churches, or classrooms, the river already knew who would come and who would leave. It knew the ones who would drown and the ones who would rise. It is said that the river does not forget. It remembers the screams it drank, the secrets buried beneath its bed, the prayers whispered into it like promises no one kept. A girl was born in a village near that river, with wide eyes that never cried. The old grandmother looked down on the baby and whispered, "She came back." But no one asked who. But I'm curious. I'm sure you are too. Who came back? Years passed. This girl walked differently, spoke like her words came from another place. She didn't like to laugh. She didn't blink when others stared. They said she was odd. Then one day, she vanished. They said it was a field trip, a sudden accident, a slip, a wave. But some very few people who remember say she went home, back into the river, back into what was waiting. This is not a story about drowning. This is the story of becoming, of what happens when a girl becomes what the world refused to believe. Her name is Olivia, and this is her story. Reappearing after months of disappearance, her parents cried tears of heavy joy. They asked her time after time, "What happened? Where did you kidnapped?" She didn't answer. She didn't reply. She was just quiet, staring at them. Her parents, being very rich, threw a party. They celebrated, jubilated, rejoiced. But something was strange. Everyone rejoiced, except one person. Everyone sang praises to God, but this person's mouth was closed. She was already old, way past her ages, entering the late 80s, but her eyes were still strong and sharp. Only the grandmother remained silent. She looked like she didn't care. She looked like she knew she was going to come back. Or wait, maybe she knew where she had went, and maybe she was the person who took her there. Maybe I'm just overguessing. Let's return to the story. Please subscribe. Olivia enrolled into school. She immediately stood out, but in a bad way. She was what the students would describe as weird, as odd. She rarely talked to anyone. She often was very slow in responding to questions. She looked mentally retarded. She was worthy of pity, but the nature of man leans not to mercy. The two queens, as so students named them, they were the ones whose parents looked to be as rich as Dangote. They wore expensive jewelry, flaunted them in class while hiding it from teachers. They would bring the latest phones to school, and they would walk like as if they owned the whole school. You would think maybe it was their parents who built the whole state. They wore their arrogance like a crown, yet the students flocked to them. The two girls, Rachel and Amanda, were two girls who always felt bored in school, so they would bully and mock Olivia. Most of the students would as well follow to belittle and embarrass her. They would call her names, insult her, throw her books to the ground, because she was different. That was her only crime. But a day would come when rubbish would stop and lessons will have to be learned. So their lesson began. Monday, June 9th. Something occurred. The students thought it was another Monday as usual. Olivia had a friend, Sarah. She was the only person she talked to. They were both introverts. They felt human beings were strange, dangerous, and they struggled to have any sort of connection with people other than themselves. They hung around each other. And it was only in front of Sarah could Olivia truly smile. But today, Olivia noticed something. Sarah wasn't with her as usual to read or do classworks. She could see Sarah loitering around with those two disgusting girls. Olivia couldn't believe it. They were all laughing together. She couldn't understand. Was it not the both of them that shared that they hated the two queens? There was even a time the both of them joked about killing them. They were bullies, and they were often the bullied due to their quietness. Why was she now this close to them? Olivia couldn't understand. She decided to look away, but as she turned, others turned. But their turning was different. Different because now their attention was fixed onto her. She became confused. She was the most scared of people looking at her. She was very insecure. That is why she had never climbed a stage before. She bowed her head, wondering. She knew she was ugly. There was nothing special about her face. What were they now looking at? Then she heard hushed whispers. Pissy girl, bedwetter, at her age, God forbid. She took her head up, shock all over her body and soul. She remained seated for a while. She couldn't understand how they had known. She was 14, yet she still weed on the bed. She didn't know why. Her parents said it was hereditary and that it would go when she was reaching 18, but it filled her with shame. She looked down on herself, not all because, but majorly because of this her condition. Apart from her parents, grandmother, no one else knew. So how did they know? Wait, someone else knew. She had told someone, her best friend, Sarah. Olivia's world spun. She slowly turned her head to gaze at her friend from across the class. She had told her about this, her issue. She had promised to keep this secret, They had even done a pinky promise. Why would she then tell people this? Her classmates start laughing, their mockeries ringing loudly throughout the class. Olivia looked at her friend's face. She couldn't still understand, but Sarah looked away, unable to look her friend in the eye. It was later on that she would know that her friend had told the two queens this secret just so that she can get close to them. Then those two disgusting girls had now told everyone. Was it just so she could become popular too in the school? Olivia's brain was frozen. The class bell rang, but time did not move. Rachel and Amanda, posed like two judges in a crooked court, stood and made their way slowly toward Olivia's desk. Every step they took was fueled by the cruel thrill of domination, the wicked satisfaction of watching someone else break. The whole class turned into a silent audience. No one stopped them. No one stood up for Olivia. Some watched with fear, some with joy. Rachel stopped in front of her. "So, pissy girl, how was last night's flood?" Amanda chuckled. "Did your parents get you Pampers this time, or are they just using buckets now?" Laughter rang out. Olivia stared at the floor, but they weren't done. Amanda reached for her bag, pulled out a plastic baby diaper, and flung it on Olivia's table. "We got you a little gift, baby girl." Another round of vicious laughter. Olivia couldn't take it anymore. Months of relentless insults, mockery, and now her friend's betrayal. She couldn't handle it anymore. Olivia snapped. She stood up, her fists clenched, her lips trembled, her vision blurred with tears. You don't know what you're doing." Her voice cracked, not from weakness, but from the anger that was building beneath. Rachel smirked. "Or what? You'll cry to your grandma?" A single sudden slap. It wasn't planned. It wasn't dramatic. It was survival. Olivia slapped Rachel with all the strength her small body could summon. Rachel staggered, nearly falling to the ground. Rachel was shocked. Surprised gasps broke through the room, and without a word, Olivia ran out of the class, past the hallway, through the garden, straight toward the backyard, straight toward the river. Please, if you are watching to this point, please subscribe. Back in the class, Rachel still held her cheek, still shocked. Did the pissy girl just slap her? She couldn't believe it. "I will kill you!" Rachel rushed out of the class in pursuit. All the students had excited faces. They were going to watch a fight soon. Something fun to watch was coming. Olivia stood there, knees weak, heart loud. Her restless heart later calmed down. She had always come to this river whenever she felt depressed and rejected, just looking at the river before her used to make her feel relaxed and forget her worries. She didn't understand why. Rachel's voice came from behind. "Oh, look, Amanda. The pissy princess is running to tell the river her problems." Giggles. The two girls arrived. Olivia turned to face them. "Why did you come?" Her voice cracked. "Why did I come? I came to beat you today. You think you can just slap me and go like that?" For a second, Rachel's smile disappeared. Her eyes darkened. Amanda stepped forward fast, grabbed Olivia by the wrist. Then it happened. In a swift movement, Amanda and Rachel lunged at her together. Rachel pushed first, Amanda joined, and Olivia's back foot slipped. Olivia fell in. The river swallowed her like it had been waiting. "Olivia!" That voice didn't come from Rachel or Amanda. It came from Sarah. She had followed, perhaps out of guilt. She arrived just in time to see Olivia disappear beneath the water's surface. She screamed again, louder. "Somebody help!" Rachel stepped back, shocked. Amanda looked at her hands as if they had just committed a crime. She was the one that started it, Amanda stammered. Rachel said nothing. They were both scared. The water shook. Sarah ran to the river's edge, falling to her knees. Her hands trembled as she scanned the surface. Nothing. No bubbles, no movement, just the soft movement of the river. Then, quiet. It was supposed to be a drowning. It was supposed to be the end of a sad story. A bullied girl pushed too far. A tragedy. Maybe a funeral. Maybe apologies and lessons learned. But that's not what happened. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Sarah cried, calling her name again and again. Then something shifted in the wind. The birds stopped chirping. The leaves stopped dancing. The air became heavier. The river's ripples began to move, backward, like it was rewinding. Then the surface burst open. A hand emerged. Then a head. But it wasn't the Olivia they knew. It was Olivia, but not just her. Her eyes were glowing brightly. Smoke filled the place. She rose, not swimming, but standing straight up, as if the river lifted her itself. The air turned cold. Rachel stepped back, trembling. Amanda screamed. Sarah gasped. A teacher had also arrived at the scene. She screamed just like the children. Olivia's face was calm, but her presence, it was terrifying. It was scary. Everyone scattered. They all fled. It wasn't like horror movies in Hollywood. No one fell. No one tripped. They escaped from the scene. The first ones to run, Amanda and Rachel were at the utmost front. Olivia stood there and looked at the crowd. She smiled, a very evil smile. A smile so evil it seemed to say that something else was coming. "Will running help you?" Olivia laughed. She had turned to a completely different person. She wasn't the introverted, lowly girl anymore. She now resembled a demon from hell. She vanished back into the river. The students and teacher had already vanished. The scene became empty. A day had passed. The news had already spread. The parents, irrespective of what everyone said, didn't care and just wanted to see their daughter, even if she was half fish, half human being. At least let them see Olivia. But Olivia was nowhere to be found. Many hours passed, and so with the sun. Everywhere was clothed with sadness, and while Olivia's family were heartbroken for losing their daughter, another family was also heartbroken, but for a different reason. One of the two girls, Rachel, sat on the bed crying bitterly. If you looked closer, you could see the bed was wet. Rachel had just wet the bed. Not just her. Amanda had also woken up, woken by her shocked parents. Everyone in the house couldn't talk. Amanda, too, had also just wet the bed. They had stopped wetting the bed from age 4, but more than 10 years after, it had started once more. Years passed, yet Olivia was not to be seen again. She was gone like the wind. 10 years passed like leaves, and Amanda and Rachel continued to wet the bed. No matter where they went to, no matter which doctor they saw, no one could save them. No one could save them from the curse of someone. A little girl, a mighty wind, a weak spirit, a powerful will. Her name was Olivia. Please don't forget to subscribe.